Don't lose hope. Your miracle might already be on the way. When you truly expect something from God, that expectation itself becomes the seed of your miracle. Faith doesn't begin when the situation changes. It begins long before that, in the invisible space of the human heart. Most people wait to believe until they see the evidence, but the man or woman of faith believes before the evidence appears. Expectation is not passive. It is a living force that reshapes your attitude, your thoughts, and even your environment. It transforms the impossible into the inevitable. Faith is not wishful thinking. It is divine assurance. When your heart is fixed on God's promise, your mind begins to align with His reality. This is where transformation begins, not in your circumstance, but in your consciousness. The miracle takes root the moment you see it with the eyes of faith, even if the natural world gives you no reason to hope. When you cultivate expectation, your language changes. You stop saying, maybe it will happen, and start declaring, it's already on the way. I have often said that faith is like the blueprint of a building. The builder cannot see the completed house yet, but he acts as if it already exists because he holds the plan in his hand. In the same way, your faith blueprint guides every step you take while the miracle is still invisible. This is why doubt is so dangerous. It erases the lines of that divine design, but expectation redraws them clearer and stronger every time you pray. Every time you speak with conviction. The greatest miracles I have witnessed did not begin with visible evidence. They began with people who refused to let go of their inner vision. When you live in constant expectation, heaven begins to respond to your belief. God moves where faith lives. So hold fast to your expectation. Even if the world calls it foolishness, keep believing. Because in the unseen realm of faith, your miracle has already begun. Your only task now is to expect it into being. What you speak shapes what you see. Words are not just sounds. They are creative instruments. Spiritual currents that carry the power of life or death. Every sentence you utter either builds your future or breaks it. When you speak faith, you invite divine order into chaos. When you speak fear, you strengthen the walls that confine you. The language of faith is not learned through theology alone. It is born out of conviction, the deep knowing that what God has promised will surely come to pass. So many people pray with hope but speak with doubt. They ask God for healing, yet talk about sickness. They pray for abundance but constantly confess lack. They declare victory in prayer and defeat in conversation. Faith cannot flourish in double language. What you continually confess, you eventually possess. The mind listens to the mouth, and the heart follows both. That is why disciplined speech is the foundation of spiritual transformation. In the early years of my ministry, I discovered that when I aligned my words with God's promises, the impossible began to bend toward possibility. It wasn't magic. It was the law of faith in motion. The spoken word organizes your thoughts, directs your emotions, and influences your environment. Even science acknowledges the effect of self-talk on human behavior. What we call faith psychology calls cognitive alignment. When your inner belief and outer speech agree, you release a creative force that attracts the very thing you declare. Do not underestimate the quiet power of your words. They are the vessels through which your faith travels into reality. Speak not from what you see, but from what you believe. Declare healing while still in pain, peace while standing in conflict, abundance while surrounded by emptiness. Every word is a seed. Plant wisely. For the garden of your tomorrow is growing from the sentences you speak today. There is a realm beyond what the eyes can see and the hands can touch, a spiritual dimension that governs the visible world. I call it the fourth dimension. The realm of imagination, faith, and vision. Every great change begins there. Before a building stands, it exists in the architect's mind. Before a miracle manifests, it lives in the believer's imagination. The fourth dimension is where the invisible thoughts of faith begin to shape the material world we walk in. Most people live bound by three dimensions, what they can see, hear, and feel. But faith invites you to think beyond limitation. It asks you to close your physical eyes and open the eyes of your spirit. When you visualize your miracle, not with fantasy, but with conviction, you begin to participate in God's creative process. The image you hold in your inner world sends a signal into the unseen, calling forth what does not yet exist. Visualization is not daydreaming, it is spiritual focus. It is seeing yourself healed before the doctor confirms it. Envisioning peace while chaos still surrounds you, imagining provision even when the account is empty. This practice trains your mind to align with your faith instead of your fear. You become an active co-creator with God, breathing life into the picture of your desired future through prayer and disciplined thought. In my ministry, I have witnessed countless people transform their lives simply by learning to see differently. When they stopped magnifying the problem and started imagining the promise, doors began to open, healing began to flow, and dreams began to breathe again. You must hold that picture steady. Even when the storms rage, the world may call it impossible, but heaven recognizes it as faith. Your imagination is the canvas where God paints your destiny. So, dare to see what others cannot see, because the image you carry within will one day become the life you walk in. One of the hardest lessons in the life of faith is understanding that delay does not mean denial. We live in a world obsessed with instant results, instant success, instant healing, instant breakthrough. But God's timing does not operate by human clocks. His process is not about convenience, it is about preparation. When the miracle seems delayed, it does not mean God has forgotten you. It means He is working behind the scenes, aligning circumstances, shaping your character, and preparing you to receive what you have asked for. If God were to answer every prayer the moment you spoke it, your faith would remain shallow and untested. True faith is proven in the waiting. Waiting is not wasted time, it is sacred time. It refines your motives, purifies your desires, and strengthens your dependence on Him. Just as a seed must rest in the soil before it can sprout, your prayers must often rest in God's timing before they bear fruit. The roots grow deep before the branches rise high. I have seen believers lose hope because the answer did not arrive when they expected it. But I have also seen those who waited with trust experience blessings far greater than what they initially imagined. God's not yet often means something better is on the way. Faith is not only believing that God can do it, it is believing that He knows when to do it. There are times when the delay itself is the miracle. It teaches patience, builds endurance, and draws you closer to the heart of God. When you understand this, you stop asking, why is it taking so long, and begin to say, Lord, prepare me while I wait. So do not confuse silence with absence. Heaven has not ignored your prayer. It is arranging your answer. The delay is not your defeat. It is divine preparation. When the time is right, your miracle will not be late by a single moment. Prayer is not merely a ritual. It is a divine conversation that activates the invisible hand of God. It is where human limitation meets divine possibility. But prayer without gratitude is like a seed without sunlight. It may exist, but it will never grow to its full potential. Gratitude turns prayer into power. It transforms asking into receiving. When you thank God in advance, you are declaring that the miracle is already on its way. Many people pray from desperation, crying out for help as if they must convince God to care. But faith-driven prayer is different. It does not beg, it believes. It stands before God with confidence, knowing that His promises are already written in eternity. Gratitude becomes the proof of that belief. When your heart is thankfulness, even before the situation changes, you are showing heaven that you trust the outcome, even when you cannot see the process. Dr. Cho often reminded us that prayer is not about changing God's mind. It is about aligning ours with His. In prayer, we begin to see through God's perspective. We stop focusing on what is missing and start recognizing what is possible. Gratitude, in turn, keeps the heart from becoming bitter in the waiting. It keeps faith alive when nothing seems to move. Modern psychology agrees with this spiritual truth. Gratitude reshapes the brain. It redirects attention from fear to faith. from lack to abundance. When you combine that awareness with prayer, your inner world becomes charged with divine energy. You begin to attract solutions instead of problems, peace instead of panic, clarity instead of confusion. Prayer opens the door to heaven. Gratitude invites heaven to stay. So if you are waiting for a miracle, don't just pray about it, praise through it. Don't only ask, thank. Wake up each day declaring, Lord, I know you are working, even when I cannot see it. Your words of gratitude become the melody that draws miracles into motion. Remember, prayer is the key that unlocks the door, but gratitude is the hand that turns it. When the two work together, miracles no longer remain distant hopes. They become living realities in the hearts of those who dare to believe. Faith is not passive waiting, it is active preparation. Many people pray for a miracle, but very few prepare to receive it. They ask for opportunities, but never sharpen their skills. They pray for abundance, but do not create the capacity to handle it. When you live in expectation, you must also live in readiness. God does not pour new wine into old wineskins. He blesses those who have prepared their hearts, their habits, and their environments for the miracle they seek. Preparation is the silent proof of faith. It says, I believe so deeply that I'm already making room for what I've prayed for. Think of Noah. He built the ark before a single drop of rain fell. That is faith in motion. He did not wait for confirmation from the sky. He acted on the word he had received. The miracle of survival met him because he was ready for it. In the same way, when you organize your life in alignment with what you are believing for, you invite divine timing to meet human discipline. Too often, people miss their miracle because they are unprepared when it finally arrives. They wanted healing, but never changed the habits that made them sick. They desired promotion, but did not cultivate excellence in their current work. God's blessings are never random. They are assignments, and every assignment requires readiness. Living ready means walking in faith even when the evidence hasn't shown up yet. It means waking up each morning with a heart that says, today could be the day. It means managing your time, your resources, and your thoughts as if the promise has already been delivered. That mindset creates momentum. It transforms waiting into worship and expectation into manifestation. When you prepare for what you pray for, you prove to heaven that you believe. The world honors talent, but heaven honors readiness. God's timing is perfect, but it is attracted to those who are prepared. So build the ark before the rain. Prepare the soil before the seed. Live every day as if your miracle is about to knock on your door, because when it does, only the prepared will be ready to open it. This is limitless faith. Stay focused. Your success is near.